Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how I crochet this octopus. We're going to start with a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, and I'm going to be using two different kinds of colors of yarn. Number 4 medium weight, I have soft pink, and then I have the same brand in a gray. I don't have a label for that one anymore. And then a helpful thing would be a stitch marker, or you can use a loose piece of yarn, a scrap piece of yarn, and scissors. So to begin, we are going to start with the magic circle. Now I do my magic circle maybe different than you, so I'm going to show you how I do this. So first I start with a slip knot, chain 1, then I make a circle, and I'm going to do 6 single crochets into this magic circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now pull this tight, and then we are going to, in this very first stitch here, we are going to make 2 single crochets. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in each of the remaining stitches. So for this row 2, we're going to have a total of 12 single crochets, making 2 single crochets into each stitch. Okay, so there is 12. Okay, now at this point, I am going to insert my stitch marker into the last single crochet we just made. So right into that last one. Okay, so for this row, row number 3, we are going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch. So we have 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the following stitch, and then 1 single crochet. And we're going to complete this pattern until we meet our stitch marker. Okay, so this is 2 single crochets, and then we'll do 1 single crochet in the same stitch with that stitch marker. Now at this point, we are going to take out our stitch marker and insert it into the last single crochet we just completed. Place it there. Now we are going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's our first single crochet in the first stitch, our next 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then we will do 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then we will do 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. All right, and then 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And again, we will complete this pattern until we reach our stitch marker. And then 1 single crochet into that final stitch, the same as our stitch marker there. And again, we will take this out and replace it in our last single crochet. All right, and this is going to be our final increasing row. So for this, if you could only guess, we are going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch we'll do another 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch we'll do again 1 single crochet, and then we will do 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then we'll do 1 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then we will increase by doing 2 single crochets into this stitch, and then we have 1, 2, 3, and then again 2 single crochets into the next stitch, making an increase, and then 1, 2, 3, increase, and we will complete this until we reach that stitch marker. Okay, so last increasing row. So from this point on, we are going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch around. We will have 30 single crochets all the way around at this point. We are going to keep on doing 1 single crochet into each stitch around until we meet row 16. And I'm going to meet you guys back here once we meet row 16. And just to recap one more time here, we are doing 1 single crochet all the way around, totaling up to 30 single crochets in each of these rows until we meet row number 16. So I just completed my 16th row. So in the last single crochet that I just did, I added my stitch marker here. So we are going to be doing the same pattern that we did in the beginning with increasing, only this time we're going to be decreasing to make the bottom of this octopus. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet 2 together. However, this is the, I forget what they call, but this, where you can't tell that it's a decrease. So what you do is you insert your hook into the front loop here, and you insert your hook into the next stitch, their front loop. And then you pull the yarn through both loops. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. You yarn over and pull through both of those loops. That is the, where you can't tell that it's a decrease. I'm gonna go look it up. Invisible decrease. Sorry about that. I could not think of the term for it. Okay, so there was my invisible decrease. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3. And again, let's do the invisible decrease. Okay, so in the front loop here, we're going to insert our hook, and then in the next stitch, we're going to, in the front loop there, insert our hook, yarn over, and we're going to go through the 2 loops. Now we have our first loop and now a second loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, again, now we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to insert our hook into the first loop there, and then to the first loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Okay, 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Again, we're going to decrease, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then another decrease here. And 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to take out our stitch marker and replace it into the last single crochet that we just completed. And in this round, we're going to do 2 single crochet together, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So here's our 2 single crochet together, and then we have 1 single crochet, 2nd single crochet, and then we have a decrease, so 2 single crochets together is our decrease, and then we have 1 single crochet in the 1st stitch, 1 single crochet in the 2nd stitch. Again, we will do a decrease, and we're going to complete this sequence until we meet our stitch marker.
No! Mommy, stop. Mommy, don't take them.
Okay, so here's our last 2 single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. All right, now we're going to take our stitch marker out and put it in our last single crochet that we just made. And now we're going to do single crochet 2 together in the first 2, and then we're going to do single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat this pattern around. So we have sorry about the kids in the background. Just trying to make a video for you guys, and they're playing, they're here. They're 1 and 3, so if you have kids, you probably know exactly the little bit of squealing and everything going on. Okay, so here's our single crochet 2 together, and then 1 single crochet in our last stitch. Okay, now at this point, we're gonna stop here. I pull a lot of yarn out here, and I'm gonna go and grab my stuffing, and we are going to stuff this. Okay, so here is my polyfil. So what I do here is, let's just get some ready here. Okay, so with this, I hold my thread off to the side here, and I just stuff as much in here as possible. So as you're stuffing this, you want to get it up in the top here while you're doing it. You don't want to stuff it and then try to go back and make it rounded at the top. So the most important thing right now is to make it rounded at the top. And the most important thing with stuffing is you really want to stuff a lot, because that's going to make it very sturdy and hold its shape. If you don't stuff it very well, then it's going to kind of collapse after time. If that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to keep on stuffing it here, and I will be back here in just a minute when I'm just about done, because if you see here, what we just want to keep on doing is push all of this down as much as possible. And I don't know if you can see this very good on the video, but if I do this, we still have a ways to go there. And then the top is getting that nice round shape. Okay, so I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so it is stuffed all the way here. Okay, so now I'm going to insert my hook back down here into my extended loop. Oh, and we're gonna move the stitch marker to our last single crochet that we created there. Okay, so again, for this row, we're gonna do the same pattern, because what we wanna do is, with this being an octopus has 8 tentacles. So what we're doing is we are going to decrease, so 2 single crochets together, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets together, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and that will make, at the end of this, we will have 8 stitches total. So let's do this last row here. So we have 2 single crochets together, and then 1 single crochet. And when you're now crocheting with our stuffing in here, you really want to make sure that you don't grab any of that stuffing, because what's going to happen is it is going to show on the outside. So we just really want to make sure that our hook is not grabbing it from down there. And to avoid that, what I do is I just stick my finger in here and kind of push it down for the time being, so that it's away from where we are stitching at this moment. And then when we're done, I'll show you how to kind of get the stuffing back to where it's even again. So there's 2 single crochets together. Here's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets together, and then 1 single crochet. Okay, at this point, we are going to take our stitch marker out, and we will no longer need that. And then for that little bit of shifting of the stuffing, I just kind of roll it like this to just move it back. So here is our nice round. And here is about the size compared to my hands. Okay, so at this point, now we're gonna start with our tentacles. So I do single crochet, or I do a chain 30. Okay, and then in the second chain from our hook, we're gonna do 2 single crochets. And we're gonna do 2 single crochets into each stitch until we meet the base of our octopus. And I do not count these, I just continue doing 2 single crochets all the way down. But of course, if you wanted to count them, well, we chain 30, 2 single crochets, that's gonna be a count totaling 60. So if you want to count them, then you can. That's how many you would need to make sure that you are doing 2 into each one. Also, if you do not like how curly this is making the tentacles, which I will definitely show you once I complete this, I will set our little octopus up here and show you the tension that this gives. But if you don't like how curly this is, you can definitely do single crochet 2 in one stitch, 1 in the next, 2 in the next stitch, and that will make it not as curly as this will. But you will see once I complete it here that they aren't too tight. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on doing this, and I'm going to meet you guys back here when I meet the bottom of the octopus. And I am choosing to switch out my colors, so I'm actually going to do alternating colors of the tentacles, and then I'm also adding a bow to this octopus since it is a pink like girly octopus. And for the boy octopus that I do, I will add a star to the head. So for here, I am choosing to switch out the colors of pink and gray. And at this point, now that I've talked so much, I'm almost to the end. So I am just going to keep you guys on here. Okay, so here's our last stitch here. And then in our, so we right now have been working out of this stitch. So in our next stitch here, I slip stitch, cut my yarn, I leave a pretty small tail here. So as you see here, this is all that I left. And now I'm gonna be joining my gray yarn. So I just pull this tight and then chain 30. So I finished with my chain 30 and I'm doing 2 single crochets into each of the stitches until we meet the body of our octopus. And now, as I start working some of these, I will then go to the base of the octopus and I will pull on this, the yarn down here really tight, and I actually tie a knot in this, a double knot. And then I stuff these strings as I go. I stuff them into the octopus. So just do this. And that just makes it stay very neat. And some people will actually individually sew each of these on, but I like to crochet them on like this because it just seems a little more sturdy, just in case your child is a chewer and say they, you know, disconnect one that you've sewn on here. At least this is a less likely chance that they'll take this off and possibly choke on it. But yeah, so I'm going to keep on doing this. After I am done with this gray tentacle, I will switch back to the pink. And since an octopus has 8 tentacles, then, is that what they're even called? I think so. Then we will, at the end, have 4 pink and 4 gray. So I will see you guys back here when I am done with all of these. I hope that I made a pretty good explanation of this. If not, just let me know down in the comments and I will be more than happy to comment back to you and let you know then of what other information that you need. All of my tentacles, and I'm sorry I forgot to show you guys how tight these are. And of course, if you want them longer, you can chain more. If you want them shorter, you can chain less. But this is the length that I like. So now we are going to make the bow. So for the bow, I'm making it in the color gray. And I am going to do a slip knot. And we want a little bit of a tail here. And then we are going to chain 4. And then in the first chain that we made, so in the 4th chain from our hook, we are going to triple crochet. So you yarn over twice, insert into that stitch, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So that's 1 treble crochet. And we're going to do that 2 more times. And then we are going to chain 3. And then we are going to slip stitch into that same stitch. We are going to chain 4. Treble crochet 3 times into this same stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 3, slip stitch. Okay, now at this point we're going to pull this tight so that, see how it is closed up now? Okay, now with our long tail, I always bring that towards me. And again, pull it tight. And then if we flip this over and then yarn through there, or slip stitch. Okay, now I am going to cut, leaving a pretty good size tail, because this is what we are going to use to attach this to the octopus. Okay, so just bring the yarn, bring the yarn through. Now I turn this over, pull them both tight, and I make a knot. And then I turn it over and make sure that it looks pretty good. And if it doesn't, say that this thread did not lay good, I would just pull another one right over top and make another knot as many times as you need to if you don't like what the center looks like, but I'm happy with mine just like that. Okay, now to our octopus. So I always sew on the bow before my eyes. It is a little easier for me to be able to change the eye position than to get the bow straight. For whatever reason, that just works better. So first I'm just gonna weave in this tail. And I like my bow to be on the octopus a little slanted. Okay, so here is our octopus. Now what I do is our eyes, we want them to be straight. So sometimes in the rows here, they can be slightly slanted up, and we want to make the eyes where it is straight as possible. So let's see here. This kind of looks like the best side here. So I am going to add my bow over probably right about here. Okay, so to do that, let's first attach our thread, our yarn, to our needle. Okay, you can put it however you want. If you want it straight like this, but I like it like this. Okay, so to do this, I always pull the yarn so that it's straight up. I just insert here, and then watch your finger, don't poke yourself, and then it'll come out there. Pull this through, but not too tight. All right, and then twisting the octopus there, and again, go down, come back up. Down, come back up. Make sure that it's still laying in the position that you would like. You can also pin it down if that will help you. Get some sewing pins and pin it down so that it does not move, if that helps you better. I think I take more time trying to pin it down as to just turning the octopus and seeing if it looks good. All right. And as you see, you cannot tell where any of those stitches just were placed. So that works pretty good. Okay, and then for this, I just go into the center and I do one through here just to be sure that that is secure. Now I go over to this other side and do the same thing. All right. Now, to get rid of this thread, I go down one more time, come up over here, pull it slightly tight there, cut, and then come over here, and it's gone. Okay, so there's my bow. Now for the eyes. So for the eyes, I use a number 4 weight black yarn, and that's for the eyelids. And then for the eyelashes, I use a thin number 1 super fine, and this is for the eyelashes. And it works really good. You guys will see the end product in just a minute. Okay, where did I put my needle? Oh, here it is. Okay, so I always start with the thicker. Of course, we need to make the eyelids before we can make the eyelashes. So insert. Okay, so I would like my eyes to be one starting here and then the next one over here. So I'm going to go in about here. And I think I'd like it on that row. Okay, so I pull this up. Oh, this was a really big piece of yarn. Okay, so I pull up. Now, if you see here, I am going to skip this stitch, but go into this stitch. So, I pull this forward, making my needle go on the opposite side. Pull this tight until I have the amount to make the eye. Okay, so for this, now we want to pull this so that it's tight. Take our yarn, same thing that we did up here. We're going to go in and back out. Sorry about that. In and back out. Pulling both sides tight. And then down here as well, being very careful not to poke yourself. Let me not knock the camera over. I'll tell you what, doing all my crocheting off a camera and then doing this with the camera in front of me is very different. All right. Pull this up. Okay, so there's one. And then we're just gonna go in that same stitch that we did the first time. And then I am going to skip this stitch and go into the next one. So we're gonna have one stitch between each of the eyelids. Okay, and then same thing for the second one. I'll do this one a little faster here. Okay, now we go in the same stitch and then we just poke out in the same one that we started off with. So there's our eyelids. Now for this, make a double knot. Cut the thread back a little bit and then just poke this in here. Okay, now with our other thread, and it does not need to be this fashion number 3, as long as it's a thin, even a number 2 thread works good too. Okay, same thing. Just gonna go in one of the holes over here, except this time we know exactly where we're going to poke our needle out. So I do 5 eyelashes onto each eye. Trying to make them as even as possible. And then, same thing, come out over here. Okay, there's our eyes. Looks like I pulled a little bit of stuffing out. Okay, now to seal up the bottom. At this point, stick your finger in there. Make sure you feel pretty confident about how full the bottom is. If it's not full enough, you will be able to pull it in or push it in a lot right here. And at this point, just add a little bit more stuffing before we seal it up. So to seal this up, as we went along, I pushed all of our yarn into the octopus as we went. And so just make sure everything is down there. Now, I just poke my needle in wherever it'll go in the base of each of the tentacles. So just doing this, and go slow because you could grab a hold of one of them and it gets kind of agitating if you do. So this is, we're bringing the needle through here right above where I tied the knots. And then for every time we're doing it, our hole is becoming closed up. So just do this until you feel pretty confident that it is tight enough. And then once we, okay, so there, mine closed. So now at this point, my yarn is coming out here. So what I do is I go straight across and just pull tight there. And then I do the same thing. So kind of like a, I guess you could say a triangle in a way, because I don't make it like a square. I like to do more like a triangle. Okay, now that is sealed. And then I just poke through and then I locate. So here's the face. So then in the back, I just bring my needle up through here. We have to really remember that this is the gray yarn, so we don't want this to show through. So I come up here and then I go back in and then come up again up here. That way it's just kind of throughout the stuffing in there. And then I pull this tight to where when I cut it, and you push it and squeeze it, and move it, and it's gone. Okay, this is the finished product of this octopus. So this octopus would be safe for babies because there are no safety eyes, and this would make a great baby shower gift. So I hope you guys liked my video. Please, if you wouldn't mind, leave a comment down below telling me that you like this video, or leaving me any suggestions on what else you would like to see me take a video of. Except for my troll hats, I won't be making a video on my troll hats. And if you could please visit my Etsy shop, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button.